Was Bill Demott as bad of a trainer as Kevin Matthews and Kenny Omega said he was, or was he misunderstood? Was he injuring guys left and right with the drills he made them run? Were you aware of the gun that was allegedly in Jody Hamilton's office?
Gun in Jody Hamilton's office. I think the gun was his mean comments when you messed up and you threw a drop kick and landed on the left side. That was Mr. Hamilton's big pet peeve. Bill trained me, and I didn't know anything else. I played football, I played basketball, and my offensive line coaches and my head coaches were stern, and you earned respect, and you were pushed hard. So that's all I knew, and his training was just that. But it was one of those things where it sucked at first, but all things that you're working hard for should, in terms of training and stuff like that. But then over time, it's like it changes. Then it becomes fun. Then it's a brotherhood. And I think Omega, I wasn't there very long. I had just got there, and I think maybe he was there like maybe 3 weeks before he had left. Matthews was injured when I was there. Everyone's experience is different, but I can say like I enjoyed my time at Deep South. Okay. Like I learned a lot there. And there's a group of guys, Zach Ryder, Hawkins, Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, myself, the Miz, MVP. There's a list of guys that comes out of Deep South that are still relevant today and have done pretty good things in this business, and it all stems starting from, Coach Demott. I just think it's funny that people tend to, if something doesn't work out, it's always somebody else's fault. But right. I can't speak for them.
Butch, in Bill Demott's book, The Last Laugh, he calls you, quote, one of the biggest assholes I ever met.
Yep.
He fell into the trap of being a stooge and refused to be part of the team. Demott goes on to say, George was no talent phony who never amounted to anything. How do you respond?
When he came back to FCW, him and Coach and I were very close, and he was close with all the guys. And when he was let go, a lot of things were said and things like that. And I was very new in the business in terms of like people say things that maybe not necessarily true or whatever, and I just assumed if whatever was said was said. So we stopped talking, and so our relationship kind of was like soured at that point. And so I didn't know anything about the book. And then when he came back, families have fights. And things like misunderstanding. And so, I didn't have very nice things to say about him after he left because, I kind of was mad at him that he got let go, and so there was some change we had to go through and all that kind of stuff. So when the book came out, I remember Zach Ryder, who was like, bro, you see the book? And I was like, no. And he's like, you haven't seen the book? I was like, no. Did I make the book? He's like, yeah, you made the book. And I was like, no, I haven't seen the book, And he was doing Tough Enough. And he came back and he's like, hey, yeah, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, coach, what's going on? And he was like, I had a book come out. I was like, oh, cool, great. Can I check it out? He's like, I was mad at you, and so, I said some things. And I was like, what kind of things? And he was like, and I was like, hey, it's cool, man. I'm not tripping, coach, whatever. And I walked in, and then like the next day, the book was on the ring. And I was like, is this the book? And then he was like, give me the book. I'm like, no, is this the book? So I opened the book up, and I was like, look for my name, and I was like, I have 2 pages, and I had 2 sentences. And he's leaving out the best one that said the only thing good about me was my name, G. Rilla. So, and I was like, no talent at all? And he was like, give me the book.
What was he mad at?
It was just, it was kind of like us against them, kind of like we trained really hard. And we're a really close group. And when, I got frustrated with, stuff, and you have people in your ear saying things like, you're not being trained right, so I would question things, and they got let go, and I didn't know how to understand. It was just one of those things where I should have handled things more, I should have talked to him more when I was upset with him instead of just not talking to him. Because, there's somebody that, like, you're close with, and like we had dinners, we had family dinners at the house because a lot of us come from all over the United States, and families don't go with you when you go train and stuff. So, and he opened up his home and stuff to us. He was a coach in every sense of the word, no different than basketball or football coach. And when he got let go, I just stopped talking to him. And looking back on that, that wasn't right. But and I could see how he would take that hard. So. But now, we have a great relationship, and, I'll always, but I'm glad those things are on there because the no talent one really, I was like, no talent at all. And Zach, I don't know if you guys have watched Ryder, he has this look, like this nervous look when he cracks a joke or when something's uncomfortable, he just looks around. And he's just like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna go read the book. He's like, and like, it's my book, give me the book, So, I'm pretty sure you planted it there on purpose, but.
Well, you clearly handled it well.
I mean, just one of those things, man. Like I've said stuff too, we all say stuff, so.
All right, Flair Fan 68 via Twitter. Is John Cena difficult to deal with backstage?
No, not at all. I always appreciate the fact that he was direct and straight up. I didn't get a chance to work with John a lot, but he would look on my matches and stuff, and I did work one time with Alberto against him. Night Miz came out dressed as The Rock and messed with the crowd and everything. But no, he's always been a consummate professional. So.
Good. Steve Grbavic from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Who's the hardest person in the locker room to get along with?
I'm trying to think. You know what, man? I kind of didn't really have a problem. Like our locker room, like I've heard stories about other locker rooms, but honestly, man, our locker room was never like that. It was pretty positive, and you don't really not get along with people. You just, there's just some people that you just never got as close with as you normally some other guys. And I was so involved with. I fought more with argue with my friends. Santino and Heath Slater, probably Heath Slater would be and I love him like a brother, and we traveled on the road together and stuff, but like we would argue all the time, and he would say things like, well, maybe I'll punch you in the face, and you gonna do what? And he was like, oh, I was just joking, shut up, stupid, like that was like Slater. But that was more the locker room, it was never, there was never any tension, if guys had issues, they usually talked it out,
Okay.
So very clean locker room.
Salvatore M., how dejected is Dolph Ziggler behind the scenes when he constantly gets buried? Do you ever catch him just hunched over with a failed look on his face? Does the man go into a room and just start wailing and crying? Does he just feel defeated at this point, or is he still holding out hope?
Hope for what? He's Dolph Ziggler, and we're talking about him. He is one of the greatest performers in the business today. And, what are you rating off? His win-loss record? Right. I mean, maybe he'll get some coaching, get a new trainer, and or whatever. But like, the guys, he's at the highest form. And whenever I see Dolph, we have one word we always say. We look at each other and go, "Welp." We can't, whelp is it? W-E-L-P. Just whelp. You can't. You can only go out there and control things in the ring and take the time you have and try to do the best possible thing you can. And I always enjoyed working him, and there was a time we were working together, and he went to hook me for a suplex. It was our pay-per-view match, and he just went to hook me, and he was like, "Don't let me suplex you." I was like, "Okay," And then I told him, but I'll never forget that. And I just laugh on it. So Dolph he's one of the best out there, and he's fine, and he's going to have a Hall of Fame career.
YOLO Squid. Hello, Mr. Murdoch. Have you ever met Jim Johnston? If so, can you tell me if he's in fact the profound racist that everyone seems to think he is?
Jim Johnston, is that the Johnston? Is that the music?
Yes.
Yeah, he made. He did 2 songs of mine, "Rip It Up" and then "Ain't No Party," and then of course "Somebody Call My Mama," and we actually spent a good amount of time with him. We went down there and we sang our version of the song, and Trinity was lights out and Cameron sang, and I started singing, but he stopped me very quickly. So very, very quickly. He was like, hey, just talk your lines. Like, no, I got it. He's like, and he can make any voice sound great, but he met his match in mine. So
Auto-tune couldn't fix you?
No, not a chance in hell.
Where's this racist thing?
I don't know. YOLO Squid.
Yeah, he's got some inside info, I guess.
Is he racist against because honestly, YOLO and Squid, I'm thinking Orient somewhere. I don't know. This is a dry cleaning argument. I have no idea.
One never knows. She-male toes. How much control or input does Kevin Dunn have when it comes to wrestlers receiving pushes and getting TV time?
Sorry, the names just terrified me. He's part of the process, and as far as wrestlers receiving pushes and getting TV time and stuff, I've literally never been on one of those meetings, so I have no idea. I just,
Adrian Clausen says, is Kevin Dunn as big of an ass-kissing jerk-off as many people say? Also, could you do a Kevin Dunn impression for us? Jim Cornette does a great one. Just ask Sean. He does indeed.
Yeah. No, you know what? My conversations with Kevin Dunn have always been positive. So, he was one of the few guys that when I got busted in the head at Extreme Rules with Christian and I was bleeding all over the place, he was one of the first guys to come up and ask me if I was all right and stuff like that. So he's just like Mr. McMahon, like himself. They were the bosses, and I never really worried about that stuff. So,
Salvatore M, was there some sort of sentiment among superstars that Darren Young may have come out for the sake of job security? You have to admit, it's way harder to future endeavor the openly gay superstar on your roster, especially in the Be a Star era. Also, does WWE, also the WWE does avoid any future discrimination lawsuits in the future by not firing him?
He got there. Darren is a superstar, and he's a great worker. So his work got him there. And to be honest with you, our locker room, we had openly gay guys we work with, and it was never a big deal. And and a lot of times, I was concerned for, and I'll leave it up to him if he wants to disclose himself or whatever, but I was worried about his dating habits. I wanted him to be careful. He does the sites and stuff like that, and we were talking to him, how's your dating life and things like that, because, so it wasn't really a big thing. So when he came out, it was more of, and me and him have this relationship where I was always, every time we see each other was always a promo where I was like starting stuff with him. What's up? Because he's light skinned, I'm light skinned, there can only be one. So, and I always wanted to put hands on him, and we worked, when we were tagging and stuff, I was like, I got him. And he'd be like, what you gonna mess with me for? I'm like, why are you looking at me? And we go back and forth, and we had this, this pretend rivalry all the time. And so, when he came out, I just remember walking up to him and I gave him a hug. I'm like, ain't nothing changed. I'm still gonna put hands on you. And he just laughed and he said, thanks. So I think for him, probably just, he's just made himself more comfortable. But in terms of the locker room, it wasn't a big deal, one of the greatest teachers and the greatest stars in the history of our business, Mr. Pat Patterson. So, it wasn't like it was something where we were like, oh my, what, because we're past that. And our locker room was very accepting of that. And honestly, we're probably more angry with if somebody's not reading comic books than necessarily whether they're gay or straight.
Very good, Anthony Menchaca. What's up with Adrian Neville's teeth? Did you really knock him out?
Yes. He came off the top rope and his face hit my head. And as we went down and T-boned him out of it, but his teeth stayed stuck in his mouthpiece, so he didn't know his teeth were out till he got in the back. So, but he got brand new teeth out of it. So he lost one real tooth. The other two were fake that were bonded together. So he lost three, but two weren't really his. So I'll take credit for the one, but then when he got three new teeth, now they're all the same color. So. If anything, it's a come up for him,
That's good. All right, video from Dustin.
Hey, Brodus, what do you think of the situation? Do you think she was doing this when she was shoplifting from Walmart? And have you ever taken anything from Walmart before?
Does he work for Walmart? Is he a manager?
He's in the loss prevention department.
Okay. The Emma thing, I know absolutely nothing about that. I just know she's a sweetheart. And I always enjoy talking to her. So, and have I ever taken anything from Walmart? Just an uplifting feeling of my life. Whenever I leave Walmart, I'm like, things aren't that bad. I'm all right.
It's confirmation of something.
Yes, if you're having a bad day and you're not sure about yourself or where you're going, go walk through Walmart.
Yeah. Frankie G, 410. In the halls of urban legends in professional wrestling, stories that every mark has heard in their lifetime. Stories like Macho Man having sex with a young Stephanie McMahon, Pat Patterson molesting young guys who set up the ring, and the apparent scat fetishes of the Bella Twins on the road in hotel rooms. Now, sir, I ask you, one of the most talked about urban legends of all time, how the fuck was JTG employed for so fucking long?
Yeah, so the question is, why was Okay, Crime Time was a great tag team, and again, people that he obviously knows nothing about athletics or sports entertainment. You make the roster because you bring a lot to the table, and there is hundreds of thousands, millions of people that would want to change, take your spot or whatever. And just because you're not necessarily being used on TV, that doesn't mean that you haven't done things to get there. And there was nobody that could take his spot. And Jay is one of those guys who's always in tremendous shape. He can always talk. If he's asked to do something, he'd do it. I'm extremely thankful for Jay. I worked him quite a bit with my character in the beginning, and he was always one of those guys that was came to work, and he was always professional, and those things matter. So you have a contract, and you get your contract, and if you have a 5-year deal or whatever, hopefully you get to finish out your contract. And he was one of those guys that was always a great pro. So why wouldn't he be there?
Lisa Lucia, how the hell is Rosa Mendez still employed? A lot of people want to know how the employment game is working here. And if the rumors of Michael Hayes getting her drunk are true, how the fuck is he still employed?
Like I said, she kind of answered her own question. Again, she's a tremendously attractive, athletic woman. So until some other tremendously attractive woman takes her spot, she'll still be there.
Michael Hayes went and got cleaned up, right?
I've only known Mr. Hayes, and I don't know anything about his personal life.
Mr. and Mrs. Brooks. Jack Raines.